give you a specific date, but it's a matter of weeks, not months. The prop pit will undoubtedly be the first prop firm in the industry to offer you futures, futures options, stocks, stock options, crypto, and shortly thereafter, event contract trading. On our day of launch, you will have the full suite of futures that you can trade that you're used to. You will have 100 symbols of equities and around 50 to 60 options to choose from, as well as around 50 crypto options in terms of crypto coins to trade. All with the exception of options and futures, you will be allowed to hold overnight, with the exception of the weekend, especially crypto. As a few of you have asked me, why are we not going with why did I make the decision to build our own platform? So I want to talk through that. I'm going to give you the real answer. The real answer is initially it was about options. Rhythmic, as you can imagine, was not an option for us given my relationship with them and fast track trading. Trade is a difficult option for those who are new to the marketplace. Roman, please mute yourself. And Project X, I'd rather eat glass than use Project X. And then I thought to myself, well, we could use DX Feed. DX Feed has a lot of the contracts and a lot of the assets that we are going to offer. So let's consider them. And I'm going to be very real with you about what happened. One of my, we'll call them fans, decided to contact DX Feed and disparage me. And as such, DX Feed changed the terms of our arrangement, and it would have had cost us, and by extension you, it would have been unfavorable for us to work with DX Feed because we would not have been able to be price competitive with you. So I terminated our contract. And then I said, okay, I have outwardly claimed to be the only prop firm CEO that is capable of building my own trade plant from the ground up. So that's exactly what I'm going to fucking do. And not only am I going to do that, I'm going to build the most scalable, lowest latency, and capable platform in the marketplace today. In fact, it will be, or it is presently what we have built, comparable to what most quant and hedge funds run. That is my commitment. We are well on our way to delivering probably the fastest and most granular market data plant in the entire industry. In fact, I can tell you that we have it already. And what that means for you is no slippage, none whatsoever. Slippage will not exist in our platform. Advanced charting, the actual application of buzzwords that other firms talk about. I'm referring to how to apply machine learning and AI into your actual trading to do things like alert you of candlestick patterns in real time. So if a head and shoulders pattern presents itself, it'll print and show it to you on your screen. If inside candles are developing, we'll be tracking that for you on our back end and show that to you. Real-time state machines to show you in real time market behavior. And I'm not talking about the off-the-shelf kind of crap that you find in Trade-Evate, sorry, not Trade-Evate, in TradingView and in some of the other tooling packages. We're going to deliver to you the most advanced trading platform in the prop industry, period. And we're almost there. In the next few days, if not week, I'll be doing a few demos of our technology, and I hope you all can join us. Copy trading, multiple assets on one screen, future integration with commercial off-the-shelf tools like Quant Tower, Motive Wave, ATAS, Bookmap. We will have it all. Not at the jump, but being able to copy trade from the platform of your choice is well within our first quarter agenda. At the jump or at our kickoff, as I said, we'll have crypto, futures, stocks and options, and a few index zero-day options for you to trade. Let's move on for a minute because a lot of you are here, and I'm well aware. A lot of you are here to talk about the clawbacks. So I want to spend most of the chat here discussing the clawback situation. And I appreciate all of the intel and things that many of you are sending to me about the letters you're getting, what is going on in other discords, what a lot of the talking head bozos are saying, and I'm here to clarify it for you. Last night, myself and the community, we had an impromptu AMA about what is happening in terms of letters people are receiving, what was the impetus of it, so on and so forth. And the fact is, these letters, this motion from the trustee and his counsel, are not coming from me, despite what some of you think. Fast track trading and myself have nothing to do with this in terms of trying to get the money back. I'm not going to talk through the full history of how we got here like I did last night, but I want to go back to one very specific date, and that is November 13th of 2024. On November 13th of 2024 is approximately 6, 7 days after we announced that we were closing. And I had a call with my employees, and I announced to them that I would not be filing for bankruptcy because I had a better plan that I thought, or I was sure of, that consisted of a scaled and interim refund campaign that would occur between November 2024 and March of 2025. My employees told me that, I did that because I saw this coming, and I've been outwardly confident and outspoken to many that the situation we're in today about the clawbacks, about the affected traders. I told my employees on November 13th, and they said they all left on November 15th. I got resignations for letters from all of them because they would not continue with me unless I filed for bankruptcy. And I didn't. I had to be forced into it because in talking to a lens, which is my and the firm's legal counsel, this was on the table from day one. And despite my employees leaving, myself and the 5 or 6 employees that were left, we did just that. We started a month-long refund campaign and paid out about $300,000. As I said to a number of you, it was pennies on the dollar, but it was something. It was 20, 30, 40 cents on the dollar, not the 1 cent you're going to get if you get anything from this case. To the point that even one of the named members of this litigation, of the forced litigation that I received on December 16th, and it's public record, so I'll say her name. Her name is Rashida Simmons. She received $8,000 in refund from us because she needed it, and we gave it to her, and then she turned around and sued us. On December 16th of 2024, which is when I received the involuntary bankruptcy motion initiated by the Traders Advocacy, the Traders Ag, I can't say that fucking word, TAC. Yeah, Traders Advocacy Coalition, led by Daniel Hussey Jr., James Katsoulis, JMU, and a few others. I think PJ was on there also. They forced me to stop my refund campaign and sue me into bankruptcy because they were sure that I walked away with $12 million in crypto, which, to another point, this is the last I'll say about this, that thinking was, the genesis of that thinking was some bonehead named Skylar Brown, who looked at the wallet address that I was sending crypto from and realized that it had $12 million in it because it's a custody wallet from Fast Track Trading's crypto provider. And he started this campaign that I still hear about today, that Fast Track walked away with $12 million, and that was what the TAC was suing me for. It doesn't exist. It's never existed. So here we are today. Your clawbacks. I have no information for you about what qualifies a clawback, who's gonna get one, and for how much. But what I'm gonna share with you today are some characteristics and some strategies that have worked for some folks that I know. I'm gonna start with my family. So my parents, as you well know, and you have all have seen, were paid by Fast Track Trading approximately $120,000 as a payback for the hundreds of thousands that they invested in the firm. They their strategy, provided to them by their counsel, they ended up paying about 44, 45 cents on the dollar, so they settled for 50K. To some of you, that's a win. To others, that is improbable. Another party close to me was my property manager in Florida named Randy Vasquez. My residence in Florida was leased in Fast Track Trading's name, and he received 40,000 payments from Fast Track Trading. He was able to settle for 10,000 with a payment plan of over 20 months or 14 months. So that could be an option to you. I myself have been back and forth with the trustee and his counsel over, a number of things, but I would advise you the following, and I can tell you from experience. A lawyer is not going to be cheap. Unless you have friends who are counsel, unless you are a lawyer yourself, most lawyers are going to charge you between 7,500 and 15,000 to represent you on this. And that is a fact. My recommendation based on how I understand this process to work is if you receive a letter, if I received a letter, here's what I would do. I would respond in kind saying, you want to work this out, you don't have the means for an attorney, and you look forward to handling it in something called mediation. So essentially what mediation is, it takes the lawyers out of it. And there are a select few lawyers in New Jersey because that's where this case is. And essentially what they do is they act on your behalf to against Scott Reaver, who is the trustee's counsel, and they negotiate a plan that works for you. And you negotiate a plan that works for you, whatever that may be. Whether it's a payment plan, for instance, if your goal is to get a payment plan, I believe, as I understand the law and as I'm represented myself, the way to do that is to get your clawback notice into mediation, and that will occur after the 14-day notice. That is how I understand the law. That is how I understand how things have been working for others successfully. I can't guide you on what the percentage you have to pay back is. I don't know, but your best strategy for paying pennies on the dollar is to not ignore the notice. Contact Reaver and his counsel as soon as you receive one, and let them know you would like to proceed in mediation if you cannot afford a lawyer. Do not, under any circumstances, delete your accounts, move money, withdraw money, or behave in any way, shape, or form that could come across like you are hiding money. That will work against you. Do not believe anyone who tells you you received money within the 90-day window. That 90-day window does not matter. Fast track trading only existed for 6 months, which that gives Reaver and McDonald the ability to go back to up to 1 year. So if we started trading on May 20th of 2024. If you received a payment on May 27th, they have the right to take it from you. Do not, I'm telling you, try to hide your money or obfuscate your money. You will create more problems for yourself. I'm saying that out of concern for all of you. If you can afford a lawyer, get one and fight these motherfuckers. I'm telling you, I want this for all of you. Fight these motherfuckers. They have absolutely no right that's ethical and practical to take your money. What they have, I would like to explain this to you. What they have is legal precedent. I want to talk about the term Ponzi scheme because it keeps coming up. Yes, on March 24th or 20th of 2024, I typed into Discord that fast track trading is a legal Ponzi, as are all prop firms, as are insurance companies, as are casinos, as are the cosmetics, home delivery cosmetics companies, as are Tupperware. major billion-dollar conglomerates have been built by multi-level revenue generation, which is exactly what a fucking prop firm is. Charles Ponzi developed a prop firm in the 20s to be nefarious and to rip people off. That was not the purpose of fast track trading. But and this is how they've defined legal precedent. They've defined that as our only revenue stream was selling evals and paying people from eval revenue generation. We didn't have live trading of substance. We didn't have any other way to make money. So they can say whatever they want because if they can akin how fast track trading did business, meaning how it made money, to something akin to something more illegal, they can say and do whatever they want and get the judge to sign off on it. There has been no established distinction. No judge has deemed fast track trading a Ponzi scheme. We did not run an illegal corporation. It is simply a statement from the trustees council on a document that allows him to then deem payments and everything that we spent money on, trader payouts, employee bonuses, my own payments, my own item, my things that I purchased for myself. They can qualify all of that in the same bucket as fraudulent and work to get it back. And all of you who received a payment from fast track trading could possibly be on the list to get this. Talked about how they're classifying fraudulent. We've talked about what to do if you get a notice. So I want to go back to prop pit for a minute. I've got a lot of questions about how am I affording to open a firm? And the answer is I have backing. I have investors. I have institutional money behind me. I'm not going to tell you for who and how much, but it's significant. To that end, I've been in communication with some folks, private. I'm seeing some of these movements around groups of people collaborating to take action. I'm going to communicate to you what I'm considering once the prop pit is open. I'm talking to both my family and, like I said, those who are backing me. And when the prop pit opens and we are positively generating revenue, I would consider the prop pit sponsoring for its customers only. So if you're a customer of the prop pit and you're affected by this matter and you got a clawback notice, you have to be a customer of the prop pit first. But if you are, we would consider sponsoring a collaboration and an action against these clawbacks, gratis to those who receive it. Meaning, the councils who I'm discussing this with, the prop pit would sponsor the legal fees, and those of you who are affected by this would be able to take part in it. But you'd have to it'd be for prop pit customers only. I'm not committing to this. It's a plan of action that I'm considering, but I wanted to put that out there, especially for those of you who are in our community and who have supported us. This is something that I feel compelled to do, so long as the prop pit is sustainable and is on its own 2 feet and running. Unfortunately, we don't have a text chat for you all to ask questions in. So if you're comfortable getting on voice and asking a question, I welcome you to do so. Um, because I don't see a text chat here. So if you're comfortable and you want to ask me anything you'd like, please please feel free to hop on and off mute. Oh, there's a chat here. It is. I got it. We got a chat. I see it. Okay. If any of you would like to ask me anything, please type it into chat. I will answer any question you'd like about the prop pit or clawbacks or virtually any question you have about FTT or what happened. Like I said, I'm an open book here. Yeah, nobody needs to ask permission to chat or to type a question in. If you're comfortable, you can hop off mute and ask me directly, or you can type it into the chat group.
People don't have permission to use the voice chat one, so people are typing in general chat.
I'm sorry, say that again.
People don't have permission to use the voice chat text box, so they're using the one in general chat.
Okay, no problem. I'm sorry you don't have permission. Let me go into general chat. So clawbacks are definitely going out. Um, there is no time frame that there's like no stop dead date for them to send them out. They can send them out at any time they'd like. So because you have not received one doesn't necessarily mean you won't. Yeah, somebody got a $6,000 one, and I saw a $7,000 one. But if you received like $1,500, I I can't imagine that that's worth it to them to do that. A good question. So for folks who are not in the U.S., and let me answer it as such. If I were a citizen in a jurisdiction outside of the United States that is not Canada, I wouldn't be too worried. So you got one for 2,000. That's fucking crazy. I'm sorry to hear that. Arif Shaw, thank you for the question. I have said a few times that while I cannot legally make payments to FTT customers, what I am considering is for FTT customers who become customers of the prop pit, if you make it to payout, we can do something like give you a payout bonus against, for instance, say you got a payment for 1,500, maybe we'll double that for you. If you get a payment of 3,000, maybe we'll give you an extra couple bucks here, and we can do that for 3 or 4 payouts if you do that. So said differently, say you were owed $20,000 in payouts from Fast Track Trading, and you get 4 payouts at the prop pit. Maybe we'll grant you, maybe we'll double your first 4 payments from TPP, something along those lines. But for those affected drastically by Fast Track Trading, if you decide to be a customer of the prop pit, we're going to make it worth your while and do something for you. Oxy, here's the bitch of it. Yes, and this is a matter that I actually just talked to my attorney about this morning. So if you look at the language in the letters, in some of them they state about if you owe 25,000 less 20,000 in deposits. That is a gross dereliction of our business. Nobody made deposits. You bought accounts with us. So if you have means, if you are capable of getting a lawyer, or even if you take it to mediation, that is a topic that I would raise. You didn't make any deposits at all. You bought a product. You bought a digital product. That has to be considered, and that has to be net your deductions. So the bitch of it is if you if they're sending you a notice and say you spent 10 grand but only made 5, I don't see how you possibly could be subject to clawback. And that is a matter that I would that's the first thing I would say to them in my correspondence, to my lawyer, and certainly to a mediator if you get there. Dark matters NFT. Great question. And I'm going to answer that 2 ways. First, the depth and breadth of instruments and assets that we're gonna allow you to trade here or offer for you to trade is not matched anywhere else in the future space. And number 2, our technology will all but guarantee you have a competitive advantage to the existing sim traded providers. So great question, Malik. And sadly, I can't give you any legal advice. But if you were to ignore it, I can tell you that the trustee and his counsel have the law on their side. I can tell you this. I can share the experience my parents had with you. They were advised. My parents have means. My family has means. For the $100,000 that they owed, if they claimed they couldn't pay it or refused to, it was advised to them that they could have a lien against their house, their retirement, their assets could be garnished by the trustee. That's really all I can tell you about the depth and breadth and reach that they have if you decide not to pay. Ashland Trades, it doesn't seem plausible, but I just saw somebody state that they had a payment of 2,000 and they got one. So, it's very possible. So do they have copies of the transactions? Yeah. So what they have is, and I'm gonna be candid with you. Kareem and Philip Traxler basically gave them everything in WooCommerce, in HubSpot, in our CRM and financial systems. Um, if can you go on mute for a second? Whoever's talking. So yes, they have a full list of all transactions made within the WooCommerce shopping cart. So what happened is what happened, but how do we get to this point? Was it most likely because of JMU Daniel and the coalition? So here's the thing. So let's be perfectly honest. Fast track trading failed because of me. Because I gave away too much free shit. I didn't price my accounts correctly. I most certainly fucked up the rules. Giving away, letting people have 40 accounts was the dumbest thing I could ever do in the prop space. So fast track trading failed because of me. Let's get that out of our let's get that out there. But if the TAC coalition did not force us into bankruptcy, the clawbacks were not inevitable. Let's get that right. Not in any way, shape, or form. The clawbacks would have never been inevitable, especially if we were allowed to continue on our refund campaign. And while we're on the subject, I'm gonna cite something I said last night. We had 8,400 people request refunds from us. And I think by my math, it was, a face value of around 8 or 9 million in accounts purchased. We were negotiating in good faith with customers to bring that down to about $2 million. On our daily run rate, we would have had the entire community or the entire 8,400 people refunded by March. It would have taken us about 120 days. And we could have wound down the company gracefully. We could have started up again. We could have done something more graceful and respectful than what is happening here. So while I can't say with distinction that if we weren't forced into bankruptcy, there wouldn't have been clawbacks, but I can tell you most certainly I don't believe so. Any compensation for people with active trading accounts? No, Bryce. My answer to you is if you're a fast track trading customer and like I said, you lost out on payouts or you had maybe in your case, you spent a lot of money and you had active accounts, we will do something for you at the prop pit at the point in time where it's time for your payout again. Most certainly. No, no, no. We're not going to give away free shit. What we're going to do is we're going to entice people to trade responsibly, to let and again, I'm to be candid with you. Into somebody, I saw some Discord messages last night that I sent out an email to about 3 or 4 thousand people indicating I understand the clawback mechanism is occurring, and I invited people to the Discord to join today, and they're calling that a marketing ploy. Well, of course it's a marketing ploy to some degree, but it's also about doing the right thing. So if doing right by the people who were harmed, if that's the right thing to do. Case in point. The only way for me to get there, the only way for me to do that is to spread the word about TPP and build TPP the right way, with the right tools, with the right rules, so it can be organic and grow on its own. That's the only that is my only avenue to help people recoup what they lost from fast track trading. So for me, the two are symbiotic. Oh, be like Mike. Great question. So this is not well known, or if it is, people don't really talk about it because of how they think of me. We were trading our the fast we were trading fast tracks money. And there are a couple people in here who could attest to this. We were generating 30, 40, $50,000 a day and paying down the fast track refunds from that money. And to be able to continue on that would have to pay down the 8 million would have only taken us a few months. In addition, we also had about 400,000, $300,000 of fast track trading's cash on hand in the November timeframe. I had cars to sell, which I was doing. However, we could grow our portfolio to generate daily profits on it is what we were doing. And like I said, we were successful at it because we paid down somewhere in the order of 300 to 320,000 in refunds. No, 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 that's not doing the same thing. It's actually entirely different, and it really comes down to building the business the correct way. So let me talk to let me talk a little bit to that. Fast track trading had no risk controls. It was I I flaunted the saying and the phrase, we're building the plane as we fly it. I think I said that 1,000 times at fast track trading. And in hindsight, that was the height of stupidity. I was finding a way to spin and put a positive light on the fact that I was ill prepared for the growth that I had, and I was ill prepared for the business that was exploding. And it almost became too. And at the time, it presented itself to do things differently. It was too late. So I learned a lot of lessons. I mean, let's be honest. There are a lot of lessons to be learned from fast track, and every single one of those lessons are being implemented here at the prop pit. We will not launch unless we have risk systems. We will not launch unless we understand live P&Ls, unless we understand breach account ratio to profitable ratios. We will not go live unless we have an automated payment platform through whatever, whether it be direct to bank accounts, the services that you're used to. If we can get you paid in 1 hour, automated, we will not go live unless we have automated approval systems. The types of things that other firms did correctly because they thought through it well and it was well baked. We didn't have that at Fast Track, and by the time we were even thinking about it, it was way too late. And those will not be mistakes that occur here. So to answer your question more directly, we're not doing the same thing. Far from it. So the way I make fast track trading whole, the way I make good on fast track trading is to show the community and show the industry that the prop pit was not built like fast track trading. In fact, it was built in spite of and in spite of what fast track trading did. Dark matters. I couldn't have said it better. Glad to hear it, JC Day Trader. Fabi, you and me both. And let me talk to this for a second. It's a precedent. It's not a legal distinction. Like I said, they're not saying that I'm Sam Bankman-Fried. They're not saying that I'm Madoff. They're not saying that I'm Charles Ponzi. What they are saying is that the way in which fast track trading generated cash and generated profit was similar to that of what a Ponzi scheme does. Not that it is a Ponzi scheme, but there are similarities, especially because fast track trading did not have any other revenue streams. After this call, I'm going to post some of the precedents and cases that the trustee and the council are using to compare us to. And you guys can do the research for yourself and decide whether or not you think it's for yourself, whether it's bullshit, but it certainly is. Okay, Ashland, great question. I'm just going down the line. Ashland, great question. So let's talk through this for a second. By my calculation to date, approximately four to 500,000 has been reclaimed by probably about three to 400,000 has been reclaimed by Jack McDonald and Scott Reaver, who are the state. One is the trustee, one is the council. Let's do some math here. There are three parties that are important. One is obviously the trustee, who owns a law firm called MCH Firm. The second is the trustees council, Scott Reaver, who works for a law firm called Genova Burns. And third is the forensic accounting firm that went through all of our financials and all of our crypto transactions from a company called Eisner Ampner. There's partners and paralegals and lawyers working in each one of these firms billing $800 an hour. Now, let's assume for a minute that nobody's working 40 hours a week, maybe 5, 10 hours a week on our case. It's been going on for a year. That's approximately $400,000, $500,000 in payments to the folks operating our case. If they've only collected about $400,000 or $500,000 so far, how much money do you think is left to be dispersed to creditors? I'll leave you to do the math. Happy to answer anything else you have. We got about 15 more minutes. Be like, Mike, this is the last thing I'm going to answer to this. You have a $25,000 Apex account. You trade micros on it. You make $500 a day. That's what? That's 5%, right? I had Fast Track Trading was operating a trading account with hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. At 2 to 5%, which we were making easily, we were generating easily enough money a day to pay down the daily threshold of refunds that we were estimated to. So that's the last I'm going to say on that matter. Can somebody time out Be Like Mike? We'll address him later. Well, Frank, that's because we're talking about billions of dollars. I mean, this is very different. There are, uh, as I understand it, there are something in the order of 10,000 to 11,000 creditors in this case, meaning people who signed up to join the bankruptcy. For everyone to get $100, they would have to recoup $10 million. For people to get $1,000, they'd have to recoup $100 million. If they recouped every dollar FTT made, everyone would get $300. Sorry, everyone would get $30. The money went to payouts. The last, I mean, the last, I mean, of course, the money we overspent too. I'm not gonna get into that unless somebody really cares. I overspent. No kidding. But there are also points to that to be made that people would never talk about. Is that CEO of the company? I paid myself 180 grand, and that never changed. I didn't make more than 100 grand. I paid myself through something called owner's draw, which came out in the form of overflexing with watches and cars and all that happy horse shit. But every dollar that essentially 95 cents on the dollar we made went to payouts. And I can evidence that with my QuickBooks. No two ways about it. And on top of that, we were underwater by like $15 million. Mid October, we realized, and this is what started the downward cycle and what started the retroactive rule changes. My rules were fucking terrible. They were too easy, and people killed it. They killed it, and it caused an inequity. So of like $15 million. So between that and the payouts we made, so between the payouts we were making, going back even to November, there was not enough money to pay out anybody. So where people think the estate and the trustee are gonna get enough money to pay back everyone, it's the company failed. Period. No two ways about it. Yes, Rafal, 100%. Okay, be like Mike. That's it. I'm going to answer that. That's a fair question. This is an AMA. As I said, I have backing to start the prop pit. Um, I have investors. I have institutional money that is being put behind me. I'm well capable of doing this in a very successful way. Be like Mike. I appreciate your questions. You are digging in, and I appreciate that.
That'd be correct to assume that lawyers need to prove funds paid.
100 times JM. You would be correct, but by way of establishing po- um, fast track trading as a Ponzi, whether it be through legal precedent or otherwise, everything becomes fraudulent. So they don't really need anything else other than other than a judge to sign a document that says payouts and transfers were fraudulent. Once they've done that, they're free to go back and collect anything they'd like. 100 times JM. To say that differently, because the company was so immature and would only existed for 6 months, they don't need anything other than what they already have to go back and collect anything they'd like.
Doesn't seem.
Grunkle Stank, that's hilarious.
Doesn't seem fair.
Jason's our CEO. Um, he's got 25 years of business experience, hasn't been involved in the crypto space, was on the tech side, and I've known him since the 5th grade. And he was my chief of staff at
Argument.
Fast Track Trading. He's a superb businessman, a clear one of the clearest communicators and manager of people and operations that I've ever met. And he is at the helm of the company with me at his side. Obviously, I'm more on the technical direction here, but under Jason's management, the prop pit is going to be a huge success.
I think that
Gary, in a different world, yes, but once again, the concept of good faith doesn't exist. So your best course of action. Sorry, if I had to fight this a clawback, my best course of action to show that I'm barely making ends meet. I don't have the capacity to pay, and whatever type of payment plan or whatever type of mediation can be had to settle the matter is what I would do.
cases too. Is weak. I think it's weak. Saying it's fraud.
100 times JM. I'm going to be very candid here. What this does is this gives powers to the babies and the nothings. This gives power to people, to traders who live in their basement and hide and have gamed out, and instead of playing Donkey Kong and Doom and Halo in their basement are trading. This gives them the power and the voice to take out their issues and take out their gripes by being able to sue, by being able to say they didn't get their payouts, or the rules were changed, or this, that, and the other thing. They have a louder voice. People who don't matter now have a louder voice to influence many others who played fairly.
Okay.
Ashland Trades, I saw you post a question to the voice chat. I caused the downfall from day one at Fast Track Trading by discounting too heavily. We had let's all agree on one thing. I invented instant funding in futures. It was my creation, and I was onto something that changed the landscape of prop trading today and forever. And I destroyed it by giving it away for pennies on the dollar. There's a lesson to be learned there about how we accurately price the value of the prop pit. So discounts will be not nearly as aggressive as they have been. They'll be congruent with the cost and the value, the cost of what's exists in the marketplace, but also with the value we provide by our technology. So will there be discounts? I'm not sure. Possibly, but they will not be nearly as steep as we did at Fast Track Trading because that'd be the height of stupidity. And this is about learning lessons. But as I've said a few times now, there will be absolute concessions and bonuses and opportunities for those to recoup their losses from Fast Track Trading.
One more thing. Just speaking out loud. Anyone?
I think that's fair. 100 times, Jam. All right, we got 5 more minutes, so I want to have some closing comments. The prop pit has a mission, and that mission is to be the dominant player in the mixed instrument, multi-instrument prop trading space. We will have live trading from day one. We will have offerings that you don't see coming that I'm not going to comment on, but again, will be as influential and as much of a change agent as instant funded futures was. Those who were damaged by fast track trading, there is a place for you at the prop pit, and there is a place for you to recoup and get bonused and have an opportunity to make back some money. You've heard my statements on the clawbacks. I will have more details as we get closer to our launch, and certainly after our launch, about any actions I will take to communally take action against the clawbacks with you and for you. So I welcome you all to please stay with us here in the Discord. Ask me anything you'd like. And I thank everyone for your time. This has been a great way to kind of clear the air. And feel free to to reach out to me or the team if you have questions or comments about what happened at Fast Track Trading, about the prop pit, and certainly about the clawbacks. So everyone, I wish you well. Have a great weekend, and take it easy.